in the middle of a very stormy night, with heavy rain pouring and lightning flashing across the sky. Inside a manor, a woman with red hair was observed standing. Beneath her, there was a person's blood-soaked hand, which belonged to a girl with black hair. The girl's hands were reportedly trembling as she weakly reached out while the red-haired woman tightly gripped a knife. The red-haired woman gently touched the black-haired girl's face, and the girl was described as weeping, begging for her life, and pleading not to be murdered. Abruptly, the red-haired woman reportedly snapped back to consciousness. She heard someone call her name and, looking around in confusion, saw her nephew lying nearby in bed. He asked her why she had stopped reading. The woman, identified as Noah, blinked and softly apologized, stating that she must have dozed off. Her nephew then requested that she start the bedtime story over from the beginning. Noah smiled faintly and continued reading until her nephew's eyes closed and he finally fell asleep. Noah quietly slipped out of the room and proceeded down the dim hallway toward her own room. The rain continued tapping against the windows, creating an echo throughout the house. As she walked, however, she sensed a presence. She stopped, yet the sound of footsteps persisted behind her. She froze for a moment, her heart pounding, and then she heard the distinct whisper, "Find him." Noah immediately turned around, searching for the source of the voice, but was surprised to find nothing there. She shook her head, dismissed the incident, and entered her room. Still, the faint, lingering creak of footsteps remained in the silence. The following morning, Noah went to see her brother, John. He greeted her with a concerned look and inquired if she had slept well and how his son, Dennis, was doing. Noah reported that Dennis had quickly fallen asleep after she read him a story. As John read his newspaper, Noah noticed a photograph on one of the pages. She asked him if she could see the article for a moment. John looked down, identified the subject as a missing person named Linda, and asked what she thought about it. Noah quietly asked if the woman's body had been found yet. John replied that the article only stated she had gone missing a month ago and did not confirm whether she was alive or dead. He noted that she was last seen near their area. Handing her the newspaper, he asked if she knew the woman. Noah did not answer immediately. She stared at the picture as a memory of her dream from the previous night flashed through her mind. Noah then offered a faint smile and replied, "No, I don't know her." Immediately afterward, a loud scream reportedly echoed behind her. Noah flinched and spun around sharply, but found nothing. John grabbed her shoulders, his face filled with worry, and repeatedly asked what was wrong, why she was acting startled, and if she had heard something. Before she could respond, John's wife, Sarah, appeared in the doorway. John continued, his voice rising, and instructed Sarah to wake his father, summon the staff, and call the doctor immediately, claiming Noah was having hallucinations again. Noah loudly pushed John's hand away, shouting that she was not hallucinating, but had merely turned back because she heard footsteps. John called her a liar. Sarah softly suggested that Noah might have just heard her coming down the hall. Noah glared at them, insisting it had been over half a year since her last episode and demanding that they stop treating her like a lunatic. She turned away, declaring she was sick of everything, and stormed out of the room. Once outside, Noah returned her attention to the newspaper, focusing specifically on Linda's photo. Later, Noah reportedly visited a psychiatrist named Dr. Rooney. She confided everything to him, especially the things she could hear. The doctor listened quietly, then asked why she had come to him, since she already had a treating physician. Noah looked down, explaining that she preferred her family not know she was hearing things again, as they grew scared of her when it happened. The doctor began writing notes and asked her to specify exactly what she was hearing. Noah showed him the newspaper photo, claiming that the woman, Linda, had been talking to her. The doctor looked carefully at the picture of the missing person. Noah insisted, however, that Linda was not merely missing. She had been murdered, locked in a dark place, beaten, and abused. She claimed the killer had skinned Linda's face while she was still alive, and that Linda had told her everything and wanted Noah to find the killer. Dr. Rooney spoke calmly, asking Noah how often she experienced these hallucinations daily, and offered to prescribe something to reduce their frequency, along with sleeping pills. Noah strongly maintained that they were not hallucinations, arguing that she knew Linda was missing before the article was published, which proved the voice was real. She also claimed Linda told her the killer was a tall man with light brown hair, and questioned how she could have known this detail without reading the news. The doctor responded by saying he understood why she had come to him, explaining that he had categorized patients who experience hallucinations into two groups: those who seek help and those who believe their visions are real, which makes treatment difficult. The doctor gently noted that the article had been available for a week, and he guessed Noah had seen it days prior, allowing her mind to build a narrative around it. He reiterated that hearing voices is a medical condition, and there is no such thing as ghosts. Noah sat silently, staring at the floor. Dr. Rooney softly concluded that the session was over for the day. Without another word, Noah stood and departed from the office. Moments later, the doctor's assistant entered, noticed the newspaper on the table, and picked it up. She sadly commented on poor Linda, calling her an unfortunate woman. Dr. Rooney agreed, stating her family must be devastated since she had been missing for a month. The assistant corrected him, saying he must have missed the latest report, which had come out while he was seeing patients, confirming that Linda had been found. The doctor looked up slowly, his eyes showing interest. Meanwhile, Noah walked down the crowded street, lost in thought, considering that perhaps it was all in her head. However, a nearby television caught her attention, and the news anchor's voice immediately sent chills down her spine. The report stated that after a month of desperate searching, the missing woman, Linda, had been found dead. Initial reports indicated her body was discovered hanging from a tree, but experts doubted it was a suicide due to numerous injuries and signs of abuse. Most disturbingly, her face was found completely skinned. Noah froze. The description matched exactly what Linda's voice had told her. She realized it was true, and that she had not been imagining it, concluding that Linda's voice had screamed at her earlier out of anger, because Noah had denied knowing her in front of her brother. As this realization took hold, something cold reportedly brushed against her shoulder, a blood-drenched hand with bulging veins. A whisper followed, saying, "See, I told you." Noah gasped and instantly spun around, but saw nothing. A stranger bent down to pick up her fallen hairband, a tall man dressed in a black suit with light brown hair, exactly as Linda had described the killer. At the manor, Noah froze when Sarah called her name, demanding to know where she had gone after fighting with John. Sarah added that Noah's father had been looking for her and offered to make an excuse for him if Noah stayed in her room. Before Sarah could finish, the father's voice intervened, ordering Noah to follow him. Noah obeyed, leaving Sarah watching them disappear. Inside his study, her father asked if she was having hallucinations again. Noah finally spoke, asking what if the voices were real. Her father angrily warned her against ending up like her mother, who had gone mad and tried to kill her own child before taking her own life. He emphasized that following the voices would only lead to someone's death. Noah shouted that she was not hallucinating, but the father insisted on resuming her treatment. She begged him to spare her, and he agreed, but only if she never left the house without his permission.
Later in her room, Noah sat on her bed, lost in thought. Her father's words echoed in her mind along with the doctor's warnings. Still, she couldn't shake her belief. It's not a hallucination, she told herself. Linda's ghost really is speaking to me. If it were just in my head, how could I know how Linda was murdered? Her mother might have suffered hallucinations, but Noah was convinced hers were different, real. She refused treatment, knowing her father would never believe her. If I can catch Linda's killer, she thought, then father will have to believe me. Just then, the door creaked open. It was Dennis, her nephew. Noah approached him gently. Dennis, why are you here? He looked up, eyes wide. Aunt Noah, did Grandpa get mad at you because of me? Noah smiled faintly. No, Dennis, you did nothing wrong. It's my fault. I did something bad. Liar, Dennis said quietly. You lied about your hallucinations. Why'd you lie? You want to kill me, too? A loud cracking sound echoed. Noah's eyes shot open. She gasped for air. Awake now. It had all been a dream. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as she tried to calm herself. Just a dream, she thought. But then she felt her hands wet. Thinking it was sweat, she touched her blanket. It was damp, too. Slowly, she reached for the lamp and turned it on. The light flicked on and she froze. It wasn't sweat. Her hands were soaked in blood. Splatos covered her face, the walls, the sheets, and on her bed lay a blood-stained knife. Something unfamiliar rested beside it. Noah looked down at her hands soaked in blood. Did I do this? She whispered to herself. She stumbled into the bathroom and washed the blood off her body, her hands trembling under the cold water. When she stepped back out, her eyes were drawn to the bed again. There was something, a figure, covered with a towel. Noah's breath quickened. Slowly, she approached the bed. Her fingers shook as she reached out and lifted the towel. For a moment, she wondered if it was Linda's face. But when she saw the blonde hair, her heart sunk. Couldn't be Linda. Linda had black hair. That meant it was someone else. Someone else who had been killed. Did I do this? She asked herself again. She couldn't remember anything from the previous night, not even how she had fallen asleep. Panic surged through her as her mind raced. Then footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps outside her door. She froze, eyes locked on the door as it creaked open. It was Dennis. He stepped inside, his small feet landing on a splatter of blood. Aunt Noah, can I sleep with you tonight? He ran toward her and wrapped his arms around her. Noah stood still, unable to breathe. Dennis noticed the towel on the bed and started to reach for it, but Noah grabbed his wrist quickly. You can't sleep here tonight, she said, forcing a weak smile. Why not? He asked, tears welling in his eyes. Because my room is messy, Noah replied. But Dennis began to cry louder, his sobs echoing in the blood-stained room. Noah quickly covered his mouth gently. Shoo, she whispered. If you can sleep by yourself tonight, I'll let you sleep with me tomorrow. I promise. Dennis sniffled and nodded. As Noah knelt, she noticed the blood smeared on Dennis's slippers. Carefully, she lifted him into her arms. Tomorrow night, I'll read you lots of stories, she said softly, carrying him to the door while gently removing his slippers and letting them fall to the floor with a faint thud. She set him down outside the room and managed a weak smile. Good night, Aunt Noah, Dennis said cheerfully, unaware. Good night, Dennis, she whispered, closing the door behind him. The moment the latch clicked, her composure broke. Noah leaned her forehead against the door, her body trembling. What am I doing? She thought. Why am I trying to hide this? I should wake everyone up, call the police. But then the thought struck her. What if I really did it? What if I killed someone? A cold shiver ran down her spine. Then a whisper, soft and familiar, filled her ears. You didn't kill anyone. I know who the killer is. I'll help you catch them. You just need to listen to me from now on. It was Linda's voice. Noah froze. The whisper faded, leaving only the sound of rain tapping softly against the window. The next morning, Noah stepped out quietly from her room, trying not to wake anyone. She crept down the stairs with a large bag in hand and slowly opened the front door. Just as she was about to leave, someone called her name. It was Sarah. Noah, where are you going this early? And with that big bag? Are you planning to run away? No, I just need to step out for a moment, Noah replied quickly. Sarah studied her face for a moment, then approached her. Fine, but be back before lunch. I'll come up with an excuse for your father if he asks. Thank you, Noah said quietly as she stepped out the door. Sarah called after her. Don't forget before lunch. Noah didn't respond, clutching the bag tightly as she walked down the path. At the city parking lot, Noah stood before a navy blue car parked at the far end. This must be it, she thought. Linda had told her it was the killer's car. Her plan was simple. She didn't need to confront the killer or risk her life. She would just place the victim's face and the murder weapon inside the car, then report it anonymously to the police. That would be enough to expose him. It's the right thing to do, she told herself. Even if I'm not completely sure, Linda said it herself. She whispered it to me, and at that point, Noah didn't even care if it was true. I'm not going to prison for something I don't remember doing, she thought bitterly. Then, in the car's reflection, she saw it. A a face without skin. Noah gasped and stumbled backward, her heart pounding. When she looked again, the reflection was gone. Her gloves were smeared with blood. What am I doing? She thought. This is no different from Mother, from when she tried to kill John after hearing voices. Her father's words echoed in her mind. He was right. I shouldn't follow the voices. I almost framed someone I don't even know. I should go back. I'll tell Father everything. I'll go to the police and report it. But then a voice behind her. What are you doing? Noah's heartbeat thundered in her chest. She looked down. The bag was stained with blood. Her gloves, too. What are you doing to my car? The voice repeated. Her breath caught in her throat. Slowly, she turned around. It was him, Linda's killer, just as Linda had described. Tall, light brown hair, cold eyes that belonged only to a murderer. Noah stared at the man she believed to be Linda's killer, the one who had skinned Linda's face and murdered her. The man stepped closer. Noah flinched, instinctively stepping back, hiding her blood-stained gloves behind her, trying to act normal. Oh, is this your car? I'm so sorry. I must have forgotten where I parked mine. I thought this one was mine, she said carefully, removing the gloves from her trembling hands. The man stopped right in front of her. Sweat rolled down her forehead as she stammered. I must have been mistaken. He said nothing, only stared. Noah leaned back against the car, her heart pounding, then tried to walk away. But before she could, the man grabbed her wrist. She froze, her breath catching as her heart thudded in her chest. The man's grip was firm but calm. He said, "Aren't you forgetting something?" Noah blinked, then realized she had forgotten her bag. "Oh, right," she said quickly, forcing a shaky laugh. She snatched the bag and started to back away. Her hands shook as she turned and walked off, glancing over her shoulder. The man opened his car and began to search inside. Noah quickened her pace, breathing ragged. Meanwhile, at the manor, Sarah kept glancing anxiously at the clock. Noah still hadn't returned. Then she heard footsteps. Noah's father appeared. "Has Noah refused to eat again?" he asked. Sarah hesitated, then lied. "No, sir. I brought her meal upstairs. She said she wanted to stay in her room." The father frowned. Strange. She didn't show up for dinner last night either. Back in the city, Noah was shouting to herself as she walked. Passers-by stared, whispering. "Shut up," I said. "Shut up. Just leave me alone. Shut up already." She bumped into a stranger who scowled. "Watch where you're going, crazy woman." But Noah barely heard him. She kept muttering, her voice trembling. "I won't listen to you anymore, Linda. You're wrong. It was just a coincidence. That man, the hair color, it doesn't mean anything. He saw me and still let me go. I don't have proof, no witness. He didn't kill anyone. I don't even know if you're real." Then the whisper returned. "You still don't believe me. I'll make you believe. You're not like your mother, Noah. You're not ill. You don't need treatment. Let me prove it. Just follow what I say. Just this once." Noah's steps faltered. Her breathing slowed. "Just this once," she whispered. She turned and began to walk, her expression blank. From a distance, high up, the man from before watched her through a window in a building. Inside the dim room, old newspapers covered the walls. Headlines about murders and disappearances, strange drawings, and beside them, something familiar. Noah's headband. The man's cold eyes followed her from afar. Back at the manor, Sarah kept glancing at the clock again, worry deepening. Dennis sat nearby, scribbling on a piece of paper. Then John appeared. "It's lunchtime," he said. Turning to the maid, he added, "Bring Noah down for her meal." Sarah jolted. She knew Noah wasn't in her room. "Wait, John. Can we talk for a moment?" They went to the other room. "What's wrong?" John asked. Sarah hesitated, then confessed everything. "Noah went out this morning. She said she'd be back before lunch." John's eyes widened in shock. "What? Do you know what she went?" Sarah shook her head. "No, she didn't say." John's voice rose, panic creeping in. "We have to find her. You know she was hallucinating yesterday. She could be in danger or worse." Sarah clenched her fists and slammed her hand against the door. "Noah can't be trapped in this house forever. She's a grown woman. She should be allowed to live like one." Dennis looked up, startled by their shouting. He stepped into the room quietly, clutching his drawing. John noticed him immediately and scooped him up. "Hey, buddy, it's okay. We're not fighting," he said softly. Then he saw the paper in his hand. "What's that?" he asked. Dennis replied, "It's Aunt Noah's room." John looked closer and froze. The entire drawing was red, every inch of Noah's room colored in crimson. Elsewhere, Noah followed a narrow trail into the woods, guided only by Linda's whisper. The ghost had told her a new body would be found there. The forest thickened around her until she reached a rusted old cabin. Her heart pounded as she stepped inside. Darkness swallowed her whole. She reached out, feeling her way through the shadows, until her hand brushed against something cold and wet. Her fingers traced upward. A foot. She stumbled backward, eyes wide, as the hanging figure swayed gently from the ceiling. A dead body. Then Linda's voice came again, soft but triumphant. "Do you believe me now?" Noah's breath shuddered. "Linda," she whispered. Every trace of doubt vanished. This wasn't madness. Linda was real. Later, in his office, Dr. Rooney was on the phone when a knock came. The door opened, and Noah stood there drenched from the rain, eyes wide with desperation. "Doctor," she gasped, stepping inside. "You're the only one who'll believe me. Please, I need your help." Moments later, she sat trembling as she spoke. "I woke up this morning. My room was covered in blood. The skin of a new victim was there. Linda told me where to find the body. I went there, doctor. I saw it, hanging from the ceiling." Dr. Rooney's expression darkened with concern. "Noah, I think you should speak to your family. You need to schedule a session with your physician." "Why won't you believe me?" she cried. "As I've told you before, you need to start by acknowledging your illness." Noah laughed, hollow and broken. "What are you saying, doctor? Then what about the blood in my room? The smell of it? The skin I touched? Are you telling me I imagined all of that? Would you believe me if you saw it? I can show you. I have it in my bag." She reached for it but froze. The bag was gone. "Wait, my bag? Where is it?" Dr. Rooney frowned. "What bag? I must have left it in the car, or the woods. Or maybe that man took it." She shook her head. "Never mind the bag. There's blood all over my room. I know where the body is. Please, come with me. You'll see." Dr. Rooney sighed. "Noah, chasing these delusions will only worsen your condition." "It's not a delusion," she pleaded. "Once you see the body, you'll understand. We can catch Linda's killer." Before he could respond, there was another knock. The door opened and Noah's blood ran cold. The man from the parking lot stepped inside. "Dr. Rooney," he greeted smoothly, extending a hand. Dr. Rooney shook it. "I didn't realize you had arrived already. Give me a moment." The man smiled faintly. "No need. We can go right away." Turning to Noah, the doctor said firmly, "Miss Noah, as I've told you before, I only provide care within the hospital. Verifying your claims outside that context isn't possible." The man's smile deepened. "No need to be so harsh, doctor. If it's because of me, I can tag along, though I'm not sure what there is to verify." Noah's breath caught. Terror spread through her chest. She gripped the doctor's arm, her hand ice cold. "I'll wait downstairs," the man said, then left quietly, closing the door behind him. The moment he was gone, Noah turned to Dr. Rooney. "That's him. He's the one who killed Linda." Dr. Rooney exhaled. "Noah, please. I can't continue this conversation." Her shoulders sagged. She had no choice but to leave. Outside, the air felt heavy, pressing on her lungs. She walked toward her car, lost in thought, until she froze. The man was there, standing beside it, smiling. "You mistook his car for mine, didn't you? From the model to the price, they have nothing in common." Noah froze. Her mind raced. How did he know that? "I never said it was my car," she replied cautiously. "How do you know it is?" The man's grin widened, strange and deliberate. "Oh, really? I just had a feeling. The color matches your shoes." Noah stared at him, and in her mind she said, "I knew you were lying. I knew it. My car had been parked several blocks away when I ran into him at the parking lot. Somehow he knew where I had been, where I went. He'd been following me. But why show up now?" Before she could move, Dr. Rooney appeared at the door behind her. The man turned, smiling again. "I'll see you around, Noah," he said casually before walking off with the doctor. Noah watched them go, her eyes dark and unblinking. Back at the manor, John was rattling the doorknob to Noah's room, trying to force it open. "John, stop," Sarah pleaded. "It's just a child's drawing. Dennis was only doodling." But John ignored her, his panic growing. The butler arrived with Noah's father close behind. "Did you bring the master key?" John demanded. "What's going on here?" the father asked. Sarah startled. But John had already forced the door open. He stepped inside. Sarah and the father followed. John slowly approached the cabinet, heart pounding. He opened it and something fell out. Dennis's slippers stained with blood. Inside, beneath a folded blanket, more blood. So much blood. Sarah gasped, hands covering her mouth as John's father stood frozen in shock. Moments later, the front door creaked open. Noah stepped inside, clothes damp from the rain. She looked up and froze. Sarah was waiting, her face pale with fear. "Noah," she whispered urgently. "Hurry, go to your room." Noah frowned, confused. My room. Then she remembered her room covered in blood. As Noah walked toward her room, her mind raced. What would I tell them? Should I be honest? Admit that I woke up and found my room that way? No, my father would never believe me. He'd think I hurt myself or someone else, that I was hallucinating again, and then he'd restart my treatment immediately. Noah opened the door and stepped inside. Her father and brother were already there waiting. Her heart pounded so hard she tried to think of what to say. Then faintly, Linda's voice whispered in her ear. It's okay. You just need to trust me. Her father's tone was calm but cold. What's your reason for leaving without permission for 2 days? Noah didn't answer right away. John's voice snapped across the room. Say something. What have you done? Why is there blood everywhere? Their father stopped him with a firm gesture. John, enough. He turned back to Noah. We deserve an explanation about your disappearance and the blood in your room. Noah answered calmly. It's abnormal uterine bleeding. I had unusual bleeding, so I scheduled an appointment with my OB/GYN. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd worry. You're lying. You're hallucinating again. Aren't you? Did you cut yourself? John snapped. Sarah, pushing him back. She's sick. Stop it. Their father's expression changed. He said, the doctor will arrive shortly. We'll find out whether you're hallucinating or truly ill. If it turns out you're unwell, we'll apologize for doubting you. But if you deceived us, his voice dropped cold. You'll never leave the house again, and you'll stay in the basement. Then he left the room. Noah's face went pale. She didn't want to be locked down there again. The doctor always knew when she was hearing voices, and he never hesitated to tell her father. Moments later, the doctor arrived. He didn't say much, only asked Noah where she'd been and if she'd been hearing things. Noah kept her voice steady. I went to my OB/GYN and no, I'm not hearing voices. The doctor stayed silent, then turned to her father. May I have a word? As they spoke privately, Noah quietly stepped out. In the hallway, she whispered to herself. I followed everything Linda told me. I hope I'll be okay. Outside, Sarah was waiting. How was the session? She asked softly. Why didn't you tell me you were feeling sick? We could have gone to the hospital together. You know, you can talk to me about anything. Noah's chest tightened. She was touched by her words. Then the door opened behind her. The doctor and John stepped out. The doctor passed by Noah and said, Inform your father if you start hearing voices again. For now, it seems you're not experiencing hallucinations. Noah blinked, confused. That can't be right. The doctor always knew when I was hearing voices. How could he be wrong this time? That night during dinner, John couldn't stay silent. There was so much blood in Noah's room, he said insistently. Even Dennis's slippers were soaked. The floor was drenched. Their father replied, The doctor knows better than any of us when Noah is hallucinating. He said she's not, and that means we owe her an apology. At that moment, Noah entered the dining room with Dennis beside her. Her father looked at her. What did the doctor at the hospital say? Do you need to be hospitalized? Surgery? It's nothing serious. I'll be fine after taking my medicine. Her father said, Then you may go to the hospital freely whenever you need. John slammed his fist on the table. I can't let her leave the house on her own. Their father, his tone calm but final. Enough, John. Noah isn't hearing voices. We were in the wrong. Later that night, when Noah was preparing for bed, she picked up a fencing sword and held it tightly. She walked slowly toward her bed, her mind steady but fearful. She needed to survive the night. She was sure the killer knew where she lived, that he would come back. If he thought I was asleep and dropped his guard, I might have a chance. She clenched the sword. The moment I hear something, I'll strike. I won't let him kill me or rip off my face like the others. What happened to my bag? Meanwhile, somewhere else in a dimly lit room, 2 men can be seen. One of them is holding a bag. The man with tattoos asked, What's this for? The other man with yellow hair replied, I stole it. Bumped into some psycho lady. She didn't even notice me take it. He unzipped the bag and froze. Damn, look at this. Jewelry, gold rings, a watch. He reached in deeper. It's wet inside. Ink, maybe? He winced. Ow, there's something sharp. It cut my finger. The tattooed man snatched the bag and shook it upside down. Jewelry clattered to the floor, followed by a blood-stained knife and a skinned human face. Upon seeing it, both men freaked out, eyes wide in horror. At that same moment, Noah jolted awake, gripping her sword. When did I fall asleep? She slowly lifted her head and saw a human figure beside her bed. Sweat trickled down her neck. Her trembling hand reached for the lamp. She turned it on and then she looked beside her. It was Dennis. Relief flooded through her. She remembered her promise to let him sleep in her room. She gently patted his head, still holding her sword close. Stay awake, she told herself. Just stay awake until morning. When daylight finally came, Noah blinked and realized she'd fallen asleep after all. Dennis was gone. She slipped into her slippers, stood, and looked around. Everything was the same. The killer hadn't come, she said. Moments later, Noah stepped out of her room. She saw Sarah in the hallway, and then her eyes fell on Dennis. But Dennis's body was trembling. His face was pale, his movements stiff as if frozen in fear. Something about him wasn't right. Noah knelt down in front of him. "Dennis," she asked softly, but he only shook harder. "Auntie, are you okay?" "I'm fine," Noah said gently with a smile. Suddenly, Dennis rushed forward and threw his arms around her, holding her tight. Sarah said, "He's been acting strange all morning. He must be scared." He watched the news. Noah looked up. "The news?" Sarah replied. "Apparently, Linda's killer struck again. Another person was murdered." Noah's heart sank. They must have found the body at the cabin. But Sarah continued, "They found the victim near our neighborhood. Police have been coming by since early morning." Noah froze. That didn't make sense. The cabin where I found the body yesterday was far from here. Not close. Then the television caught her attention. The reporter's voice echoed through the room. At the scene where the second victim, identified as Susan, was found, investigators also discovered a pair of red women's shoes. Authorities confirmed they don't belong to the victim and are working to identify their owner. Noah's heart hitched. Her eyes widened. "How did my shoes end up there?" She hurried back to her room, and when she looked, her red shoes were gone. She remembered clearly leaving them beside her bed last night. Then Linda's words came back to her about the killer. It had to be him. He must have come into my room while I was asleep. A sudden knock startled her. It was Sarah. She entered and began talking, but Noah's attention shifted toward Dennis. "He had slept in my room last night and he'd been acting so strange this morning. Maybe he saw something." Noah crouched beside Dennis again. "Dennis?" she asked gently. "When you slept in my room last night, did you notice anything strange?" Dennis's face twisted with fear. He suddenly shouted, "No, I didn't go to Auntie's room. I didn't go. I said I didn't go." He bolted into Sarah's, shaking violently as he hit his face. Later during breakfast, Noah couldn't stop thinking. What happened last night? Dennis seemed to know something. Maybe he caught a glimpse of the killer. But earlier, when she asked the butler, he said no one could have entered the manor. The doors and windows were checked every morning. Noah's face began to sweat. Then how did the killer get in? Why won't Dennis say anything? And why didn't the killer kill me? Just took my shoes. Suddenly, she felt Linda's presence again. The familiar whisper slithered into her ear. Then her father's voice interrupted. "Noah, do you need to go to the hospital today?" Noah flinched, startled. I'm all right." John glanced at her. "Since there was a murder nearby, maybe you should stay home, even if you need to go." "But why would the killer leave a pair of women's shoes next to the victim?" Sarah sighed. "Maybe the killer is a woman." That night, Noah left her room quietly. Her thoughts were sharp and focused. "The killer definitely came into my room and took my shoes. I'll find proof before he can strike again. I just need to do what Linda says." Upstairs, Dennis was watching her from the shadows, worry written all over his small face. Meanwhile, far from the manor, the two men who had stolen Noah's bag were driving on a road, arguing inside their car. The blonde man insisted, "We should report it now." The tattooed man snapped back, "Are you crazy? We'll get arrested. We're ex-cons. The cops will think we did it." "I don't care," the blonde man shouted. "I'm not letting a psycho who skins people alive walk free. I saw her face, man. The killer was that woman." Neither of them noticed as a car passed by in the opposite direction. Noah's car heading down a different direction. After a couple of minutes, Noah arrived at her destination. She stepped through a broken fence, clutching her flashlight tightly in her hand. The path led her to an unknown building. It looked like an old abandoned factory. Linda's voice echoed softly in her mind. "Inside that building, that's where he keeps everything." Noah took a deep breath and crept inside, her steps slow and careful. She moved between the rusted machinery, searching for anything that could serve as evidence. She pulled out her camera, then froze. A loud clack echoed from somewhere deeper inside the building. Noah's pulse quickened. She followed the sound one trembling step at a time until she reached a half-open door. Holding her breath, she slowly leaned forward to peek inside, and what she saw made her blood run cold. On the other side of the door was a corpse. Noah gasped, but quickly covered her mouth to stop the sound. Her eyes widened in horror. "Linda was right," she whispered. Her hands shook violently as she raised her camera, trying to take a photo. She needed proof, something that would make everyone finally believe her. Her finger hovered over the shutter when slam. The door flew wide open. Standing in front of her was the killer, Noah's breath caught in her throat. Her camera slipped from her hands and hit the floor. She grabbed it immediately and bolted. Her footsteps echoed through the corridors as she ran for her life, heart pounding so hard she thought it would burst. She burst through the factory, gasping for air, chest heaving. There was no more doubt in her mind. The man Linda had told her about was the killer. She remembered the payphone near where she had parked her car. That was her chance. Noah ran to it, frantically dialed the police and told them everything. Moments later, police cars arrived at the factory. From a distance, Noah watched from inside her car, her body still trembling. Why isn't he coming out? She thought. Did he get away? It hadn't even been 10 minutes since I called. There was no way he could have cleaned up the scene and escaped. Even if he had, the police would at least find the body, and I had his photo as proof. Noah tried to calm herself. It's over. Linda can finally rest in peace. But then she noticed something strange. The police were leaving. Her brows furrowed in confusion. Why are they leaving already? There was no way they'd searched the entire factory so quickly. Did they even find the body? She was still thinking when a chill shot down her spine. Someone was standing right in front of her car. Noah froze. It was the killer. His hands and white shirt were soaked in blood. He stepped forward. Noah jolted, slammed her foot on the gas, and sped away. The man sidestepped at the last second, avoiding her car, his cold eyes following her as she disappeared into the distance. After a long, continuous drive, dawn finally broke. Noah pulled over, exhausted and trembling. She looked around, trying to make sense of what had happened. How could he have been standing there? He should have been running from the police, Noah whispered. Then she reached for her camera. It's okay, she told herself. I still have his photo. But before she could turn it on, a hand tapped her shoulder. Noah flinched hard and turned around. Standing there was a tall man in a white long-sleeved shirt. The same man from that night. It was him, the killer Linda had warned her about. He smiled. Noah trembled, stepping back. Don't come any closer, she shouted. Take one more step and I'll scream. He stopped. Her voice cracked. When did you start following me? How did you get past the police? Why are you doing this? Why are you killing people? What do you want from me? What did I ever do to you? Say something. He looked at her calmly. What are you talking about? I was just surprised to run into you here. I only wanted to say hello. You should really contact Dr. Rooney when you can. Then, as if nothing had happened, he turned and walked into a nearby diner, leaving Noah standing there, alone in the pale morning light, caught between delusion and truth. A few minutes later, Noah pulled into the garage and stayed still in her car, staring blankly ahead. Doubt crept into her mind. Was it really him? The killer? She hadn't seen his face clearly that night. It had been too dark. Still, she tried to steady herself. It has to be him. Linda told me, and I took a photo to prove it. It can't be wrong. The garage door creaked open, and Noah's heart skipped. It was Sarah. Noah? What are you doing out here? She asked. I just remembered I left some clothes in my car, Noah replied quickly. Came to grab them. Sarah frowned. Your clothes are filthy. Noah froze, glancing down at the stains from the factory. Before she could answer, Sarah gave a small smile. Must have been the car. It's a mess after the rain. Yeah, Noah muttered, relieved. I'll have someone clean it later. And don't forget, my sister's visiting tonight, Sarah added before leaving. Noah nodded, hiding the camera behind her back. Once in her room, she carefully removed the film roll and tucked it into a small container. I went to that factory because Linda said the killer would be there, she whispered to herself. Then she hesitated. But why did he act like he didn't know anything? Her grip on the film tightened. No, it's him. It has to be. My shoes vanished right after he mentioned them. That's not coincidence. He's pretending, watching me. A sudden knock at the door startled her. The film rolled off the table and disappeared under the bed. Noah, Sarah called. There's a gentleman on the phone. Says he's Dr. Rooney. Dr. Rooney? Noah repeated, puzzled. Why would he call me? She hurried to the phone. Doctor, she said. Rooney's calm voice came through. I saw the news. Another faceless victim was found. You told me before that you discovered the body yourself. I've looked into it and now I believe you. These voices you hear might not be delusions. You could be the key to solving these murders. I want to help. For the first time in days, hope stirred in her chest. If Rooney truly believed her, she might finally have someone on her side. But a dark thought followed. Why change his mind so suddenly? Her fingers tightened on the receiver. Doctor, are you with him? The killer. Pause. Then Rooney replied, No, of course not. I only know his family, nothing more. Noah exhaled slowly. All right, I'll come to your office. Later, driving through the city, she tried to calm herself. If Rooney had ties to the killer, Linda would have warned me. Maybe he really does believe me now. If a doctor supports me, the police will have to listen. With Roy's help and my photo, we'll catch him. When she arrived, Rooney greeted her gently. Come in, please. Noah Saturday, I owe you an apology, he said. I dismissed you the other day when you were trying to tell me something important. It's fine, she murmured. Let's start from the beginning, he continued. You said that after our first session, you woke up to find a knife and the victim's face in your room. Then you followed a voice and found the body. At first, I assumed you were hallucinating. But after watching the news yesterday, I realized you were right. The victim's face is still missing. So, Noah, where is it now? Noah's voice was steady. Doctor, do you believe the voice I hear is real? Rooney hesitated, then spoke carefully. There's a condition I've studied. People with separate identities who act without remembering what the others have done. They lose time, forget events. Tell me, Noah, do you ever experience memory gaps? Her breath hitched. She had, twice waking up not remembering falling asleep. Rooney's tone softened but cut deep. You said the killer entered your room and left the knife and the victim's face. But if that were true, why leave you alive when both victims were killed? How could you know about the crimes before anyone else? And why were a pair of women's shoes found beside the second body? Noah's hands trembled. Confusion filled her eyes. The shoes didn't belong to the victim. Rooney continued quietly. They came off while the body was being moved. Isn't that right, Noah? She stared at him, speechless. I'm not accusing you, he said softly. But the voice you call Linda might be another part of you, a part acting on its own. Please trust me. Don't let it control you. Just tell me everything. The shoes they found. They're yours, aren't they? Noah's pulse raced. She didn't answer. What she didn't see was a recorder running, the police listening closely, waiting for her to confess. One day earlier, Dr. Rooney was changing when the news broadcast caught his ear. The second victim, Susan, was found murdered. The victim's face has not yet been recovered. He froze. A second body, just as Noah had described, but something didn't make sense. The report said the body was discovered that morning, yet Noah had claimed she found it yesterday afternoon. He stood still, staring at the TV. How did she know before it even aired? For a moment, a chilling thought crossed his mind. Could it really be a ghost guiding her? Or maybe Noah killed him herself? Then the realization hit him like ice. Noah said she had the face. Face hadn't been found. Everything she told him matched the report perfectly. His eyes shifted to the screen again. The report showed a pair of red women's shoes, ones not believed to belong to the victim. He remembered Noah's shoes from the previous day. Just then, his telephone rang sharply. He picked it up. Hello? A low voice spoke on the other end. Doctor, did you see the news? Yes, Rooney replied slowly. I saw those red shoes. They were worn by Noah. Dr. Rooney's blood ran cold. The one who called Rooney. It was the man Linda had claimed was the killer. The following morning, Dr. Rooney reported Noah at the homicide division. Inside his office later, a detective showed his badge to Dr. Rooney, stating he was from the homicide division. Dr. Rooney suggested nervously, if Noah confesses during my consultation, and if she truly has a split personality, she should be arrested before her other self takes over again. The detective replied calmly, that depends on what she says, but if you can get her to admit those shoes are hers, that would help. Rooney agreed quietly as another detective finished setting up the wiretap. Before leaving, the detective added, don't be nervous, just act natural. Outside the office, several detectives took their positions. Don't stare at the suspect, just act casual. Detective Mark scoffed. This is a waste of manpower. His partner shot him a look. She's the lead suspect. She knew about both murders before they were even reported. And she was seen wearing the same shoes we found at the crime scene. Mark replied, whatever it is, you can't kill people with something silly like that. How could she hang a body on a tree by herself anyway? Another officer interrupted. The suspect's car just pulled in. The detective straightened. Let's find out if this really is a waste of time. Moments later, Noah arrived. A nurse guided her to Dr. Rooney's office while several pairs of eyes discreetly followed her from a distance. The present. Inside the consultation room, Noah's hounds trembled, covering her face. Her eyes were wide and unfocused. Dr. Rooney leaned forward. Noah, those shoes they found next to the second victim. They're yours, aren't they? In the other room, the detectives waited in tense silence while listening. Noah didn't answer. Her entire body was shaking. Rooney's voice softened. Noah, please answer me. Finally, she opened her mouth. Her voice came out cold and flat. Those shoes, they're not mine. The detectives exchanged startled looks. Dr. Rooney's eyes widened. What? But I saw you wearing red shoes just like the ones on the news. Noah slowly lowered her hands. And I don't have memory gaps like you said. The things I told you before were just hallucinations. I spoke to another psychiatrist. I'm much better now. I don't see or hear things anymore. Rooney stood abruptly. But you told me you saw a corpse 2 days ago. That you had the skin face. Noah stared at her blankly. Why would you believe that? Did I ever show you the face? The doctor froze. Why are you acting like this all of a sudden? Noah stood, her tone controlled but sharp. I've been treated for hallucinations since I was a child, doctor, but no one has ever diagnosed me with multiple personality disorder. I didn't think you'd be so quick to call me a murderer, just because what I said happened to match a new story I saw. You can't make a diagnosis after 2 sessions. She turned toward the door. Rooney stepped forward. Noah, please. I understand it's hard to accept, but I'm not your enemy. I'm not saying I'll report you. I just want to stop this before your other self takes over again. Noah turned back to him slowly. Then in one sudden motion, she stepped close and clung to him, pressing her body against him. Rooney froze, startled and blushing. Noah. Her voice dropped to a whisper, cold and razor-sharp. Don't lie. You've already reported me. Her grip on his collar tightened. I never killed anyone. And I'm not hallucinating. It really is Linda. Earlier, just moments before, when Rooney had begun convincing her she might have another personality, when doubt started to fill her mind, a whisper brushed against her ear. It was Linda's voice. Noah, don't say a word. The police are listening. In the other room, the detectives waited, expecting Noah to confess, but her denial threw them off completely. Detective Mark sighed. He turned to leave. In the hallway, a nurse whispered, Detective, is that woman really the killer? Joe Mark muttered. Noah stepped out of Rhodey's office just then. Mark pretended to act casually, his expression unreadable. As Noah passed him by, he glanced at her without her noticing. But when she walked past, his eyes followed her quietly, watching her every step. Moments later, the detectives exited the room. Dr. Rooney rushed towards them, panicking. She knew I reported her. She told me. One of the officers frowned. We didn't hear anything like that through the wiretap. Rooney insisted, voice shaking. I whispered it in my ear. She knew you were listening. Another detective muttered. It was a complete waste of time. But Mark's voice cut through the noise. No, Mark said flatly. The doctor is right. That woman knew we were listening. When she left the room, she glared straight at where we were listening. Meanwhile, inside the manor, Sarah walked quietly through the hall. As she glanced up, she froze. Noah was walking upstairs. Sarah immediately rushed toward her. Noah, what happened? What did the doctor say? Noah paused, her voice low. It was nothing. There must have been some mistake. Sarah's eyes welled with relief. She suddenly threw her arms around Noah. I'm so glad. I was worried when the hospital called so early in the morning. But Noah's voice was cold. That doctor's a quack. Before Sarah could reply, footsteps echoed from the entrance. Sarah turned. To Sarah's surprise, it was her older sister, Helen. Big sister, Sarah gasped, rushing down the stairs. The two embraced tightly. A moment later, John appeared from the corridor. Helen! He greeted politely as he descended. Helen smiled. John, as handsome as ever. How have you been? Noah greeted slowly. It's nice to see you again, Helen. But Helen ignored her and turned to John. Where's Dennis? Sarah frowned. Helen, Noah just greeted you. You must not have heard her. Helen blinked, then chuckled. Oh, forgive me. My hearing must be getting worse with age. She looked back at Noah with a smile. How are you, dear? I'm fine, Noah answered with a polite smile. They all began chatting, laughter filling the room, but Noah felt like an outsider. She smiled faintly. I'll head to my room. Helen, please make yourself at home. As she turned and left, Helen silently followed her with his eyes, expression unreadable. Inside her room, Noah knelt beside the bed, searching for the film roll she dropped earlier. After a few moments, she spotted it glinting in the shadows and reached for it. As she held it in her hands, Rooney's words echoed in her mind. Multiple personality disorder. She clenched her jaw. That's the best he's got. He was certain I was the killer, and even reported me to the police. I was a fool to trust him, even for a second. I don't need anyone's help. Her grip tightened around the film. All I need is Linda. Meanwhile, Sarah was showing Helen to the guest room. It's beautiful, Helen said, smiling as she looked around. It feels even prettier than before. Sarah agreed proudly. The family helped redecorate it. Lord Mayors, Noah's father, even worried something might happen to you on the way here because of those murder cases nearby. Helen laughed. Oh, come on. That CN old man would never worry about me. Sarah froze, her smile faltering. Panicking, she quickly closed the door. Helen, don't say things like that out loud. What if someone hears you? Helen scoffed. No one's listening. Look at how he sent just one frail butler to pick me up. He doesn't care about me at all. But when Noah goes anywhere, he sends 3 or 4 strong men to escort her. He won't even let a speck of dust touch his precious daughter. Sarah explained, "Those men aren't guards. They just have to watch her in case her symptoms start showing." Helen raised her eyebrow. "Symptoms? What symptoms?" Sarah hesitated. Then Noah's father's words came flooding back. "Now that you'll be living here, you must keep this promise. Never tell anyone about Noah's hallucinations or her treatment, not even family." Taking a breath, Sarah forced a smile. "It's a kind of condition that comes suddenly even when she seems fine, like epilepsy." Helen gave her a knowing look. "You're lying. It's just an excuse. The nobles never want to associate with people like us. When I visited 6 months ago, I stayed 5 days, and that girl never even showed her face. You said she was undergoing treatment, but the house before it was in such disarray. I thought they even considered me a guest." Sarah replied, "No, you're wrong. They're good people. They've been nothing but kind." Helen smiled gently. "I'm just worried for you, Sarah. They might look down on you." Meanwhile, Noah was on the phone. "Yes," she said urgently. "I need the photos developed tonight before dawn. I'll pay whatever you want." After hanging up, she sighed with relief. The developer agreed to finish by morning. Once everyone was asleep, she'd go pick them up herself and finally confirm the killer's face. "As long as I have that photo, a clear image of the culprit beside the body, the police will have to believe me. Once he's caught, everything will be all right." All she had to do was wait until morning. That night, Noah awoke abruptly. The house was silent. She slowly stood and opened her door, stepping into the dim hallway. Down the corridor, Helen's room door was open. Are Sarah and Helen still awake? She wondered. If I'm careful, I can sneak past without being noticed. But just as she turned, Helen's voice cut through the dark. "Going somewhere?" She froze. Helen appeared beside her. I just wanted to get some water." Helen cheerfully smiled. "If you can't sleep, why not have a drink with me? We've never really talked before. I'd love to hear how Sarah's adjusting to this place." No one declined politely. "Thank you, but I'm a bit too tired." Helen smirked and started down the stairs. "I see. All right then. But have we down?" She stopped and turned. "By the way, do you have some sort of mental illness?" Noah blinked, caught off guard. Sarah appeared just then, but Hen kept going, smiling almost playfully. "I mean, I heard you were ill, but I wasn't sure how. I also heard your mother committed suicide, so I thought maybe it runs in the family." She laughed lightly. "If mental illness is hereditary, we should be careful with little Dennis. Shouldn't we?" Sarah panicked. What are you saying?" Helen chuckled, ignoring her sister's panic. "Oh, relax. Genes don't lie, you know," Sarah said apologetically to Noah. "I'm so sorry. She's had a bit to drink." Then she grabbed Helen's arm and led her away, the two disappearing down the hall. Noah just stood there watching them leave calmly. Back in her room, she sat by the door, whispering to herself, "I just have to wait until they are asleep. If the developer does this off, I'll wake them up. I need to see the photo tonight." But as she waited, her eyelids grew heavy. Her eyes slowly closed. Moments later, her eyes fluttered open again. But to her surprise, she was no longer in her room. She was inside her car. Her eyes widened in horror. Through the windshield, illuminated by the pale moonlight, a dead body hung from a tree. Noah gasped, trembling hands covered in blood. She stumbled out of her car, confused, horrified, wondering how she ended up there. Just moments ago, she was in her room, and now another person was dead. Her eyes landed on the corpse's face, or what was left of it. The skin was missing. Then she saw the ring, glinting faintly in the light. That ring. Helen's ring. "No," she whispered. Noah rushed closer, tears spilling. She wrapped her arms around Helen's cold, hanging body. "I'll get you down. Helen, please wake up." But Helen's body was cold. She was already dead. Noah stepped on something soft, looked down, and froze. It was Helen's skinned face. She stumbled back, vomiting, gasping for air. Dr. Rooney's voice echoed in her head. "You have a personality disorder." Her eyes widened. Her hands flew to her mouth. "Did I kill her?" Tears streamed down her face. "I killed Sarah's sister. I killed her." She gritted her teeth, whispering, "I need to turn myself in." But then Linda's voice whispered, "No, you didn't do it." Noah covered her ears. "Please stop. I don't want to kill anyone else. Just leave me alone." Footsteps crunched nearby. A man's voice shouted, "Ah, she's dead. She was murdered. What do I do? Where did that woman in the car go? Don't tell me. Did he murder her too? He couldn't have gone far. If I go after him now, I can still catch him." Noah's eyes went wide upon realizing that someone saw the real killer. She ran toward the voice. But when she arrived, the man was gone, vanished into the night. That night, Noah returned to the manor, her mind racing. Someone had seen the killer. That meant she wasn't the murderer. But why had the killer spared her? Why target her family instead? Noah clenched her fists. I'll find him and I'll kill him before he hurts anyone else. Morning came with heavy rain. The manor was in chaos. Voices shouting Helen's name. Everyone searching. John appeared. Sarah ran to him, trembling. Did you find her? John shook his head. No, I called the police. They'll be here soon. Sarah panicked. She's not familiar with the area. What if the killer found her? From across the hall, Noah watched silently. Linda's whisper echoed. Don't tell anyone about Helen's body. You'll only be framing yourself. Noah, please. Have you seen Helen? She's missing. I swear she was beside me last night. Noah hesitated. No, I didn't see her. I'm sorry. Sarah fell to her knees and Noah caught her, holding her tight. The main doors opened. Police officers entered, led by Detective Mark. John surprised. That was fast. I just called them earlier, but the butler said uneasy. They're not here because of Helen, sir. Detective Mark stepped forward. We're here to investigate a suspect connected to the face stripper slangs. He looked straight at Noah. Miss Noah Myers, correct? Why are they looking for me? John stepped forward. What do you mean suspect? Mark replied. We received a report that shoes match what Miss Noah wore at the crime scene. Just standard procedure. John glared. You're accusing her over shoes. She barely leaves the mansion. Dennis from a distance shouted. That's a lie. Auntie goes out all the time. Sarah gasped. Dennis, don't say that. Dennis insisted. Auntie goes outside alone at night. Everyone was asleep. Noah and Sarah glared at each other menacingly for a moment. But then, her father appeared. Noah, a suspect in a serial killing. His voice was calm. She cannot leave this house freely. Don't accuse my daughter based on what a half-asleep child saw. Mark stayed calm. We're not accusing her. But both victims were found nearby. We just need to hear what she knows. Her father replied coldly. Unless you have a warrant, leave my house. Mark sighed. So, the entire family is protecting her? Miss Noah, please say something. I'll believe whatever you say. For a second, Noah felt relief. Someone might believe her. But another officer rushed in. Detective, we need to get back to the station now. Mark, without choice, left quickly. John turned to his father. We can't ignore what Dennis said. The doctor was wrong. She's still hearing voices. His father's cold reply. Don't say another word. John fell silent. Later, Noah was watching the news. The face stripper slangs that terrified the nation may be finally over. The anchor said, authorities have arrested a suspect believed to be responsible for the killings. Noah's eyes widened in disbelief. She couldn't believe what she had just heard on the news. The culprit had been caught. Maybe the person who saw the killer last night managed to turn him in. But then the reporter continued saying the culprits behind the violent murders of Linda and Susan were identified as Carl Brown and Ken Brown, two brothers. As the screen showed their photos, Noah stared frozen. Her expression twisted in confusion and disbelief. This can't be right, she whispered under her breath. Then a sudden thought hit her. The film roll. She rushed to her room, searching frantically through every drawer, but it was gone. The film was missing. Her heart started pounding. The killer? He must have taken it, she muttered. Last night when he killed Helen. The realization made her body tremble. She hurried to the study room, opened a cabinet, and pulled out a small box. She stared at it and whispered, Linda, I've done everything you told me to do so far. I went where the bodies were. I went into the factory where the killer was, and I even lied to my family. So now it's your turn to help me. Please, you have to help me this time. While this was happening, Sarah was walking toward the house. Her mind was racing with Dennis's words about how Noah had gone outside alone at night when everyone was asleep. Her eyes looked empty, her face pale and desperate. She opened the door and looked toward the garage. Noah's car was parked there. She froze for a moment. She remembered seeing Noah getting out of her car early that morning. She remembered the bloodstains in Noah's room. Then she noticed how dirty the car was, covered in dust. She whispered to herself, why is the car so dirty? I just washed it yesterday. Her voice trembled. It's like she went out again last night. 2 days earlier, late at night, two men were arguing in a narrow alley. Carl and Ken Brown stood under a flickering street light, their faces tense. I told you we should just report it, Carl hissed. Ken shook his head. No way. If we go to the police, we'll be the ones who get blamed. Let's just leave the bag in an alley and call it in anonymously. After arguing for a few minutes, they finally agreed to drop the bag off and report it later. But before they could leave, they froze. Two police officers were walking straight toward them. Panic set in. Without thinking, they ran. The officers shouted for them to stop and chase them down. Moments later, the police discovered the bag and what was inside. The two brothers were arrested together on the spot. Inside the police station, one of the brothers, the one with brown hair, slammed his hands on the table in panic. "I'm telling you, we're not the killers. The bag isn't ours." His voice was shaking. "The real culprit was a woman with red hair. That's all. I'm guilty of theft, not murder." Meanwhile, at the hospital, Dr. Rooney was being scolded by the head doctor. "Why did you report your patient? Do you realize what you've done? Who's going to trust this hospital now?" The argument ended with Dr. Rooney's suspension. A few minutes later, there was a knock on the door. When it opened, Detective Mark was standing there. "Dr. Rooney," he greeted. "Do you have a moment to talk?" Dr. Rooney looked at him and sighed. "Detective, I thought this case was over. I heard they already caught the culprits." Mark replied, "They're not the real killers. Nothing's been confirmed. The media just went wild. I came because I wanted to ask if Noah Myers ever mentioned a bag." Dr. Rooney frowned. "A bag? What are you talking about? You said that Miss Noah told you she had the victim's face and that she was going to show it to you. She couldn't have carried that out in the open, so there must have been a bag." Dr. Rooney exhaled sharply. "I thought we agreed she was hallucinating. You heard it yourself on the recording. I never saw any face that day." "It's not the face I'm after," Mark said firmly. "It's the bag." Roy's patience started to fade. "I've told you everything I know. I can't disclose any more about my patient. And besides, the killer's in jail, isn't he? Does it even matter what she said anymore? I don't want to be involved in this case." The detective studied him for a moment before replying, "Understood. Then please give me your home address and number. I heard you've been suspended, so I won't be able to reach you here. If you remember anything about that bag, contact me." Dr. Rooney reluctantly wrote down his address and number in the detective's notebook. Mark thanked him and quietly left, saying, "We'll meet again." A few minutes later, Dr. Rooney began gathering his things to leave. As he packed, he noticed a notebook lying on the floor near his desk. "Ah," he muttered, picking it up. He must have dropped this. Thinking it was the detective's notebook, he placed it in his bag and left. Inside his car, his mind couldn't stop replaying what the detective had said. The bag. The words from Noah that day echoed in his memory. "I have the murder weapon and the victim's face. I'll show you. It was inside my bag." Dr. Rooney froze. She did mention a bag that day, he whispered. A chill ran through his body. He grabbed the detective's notebook from his bag and began to read. His eyes widened as he saw the notes. Details about pickpocketing, a red-haired woman, and two brothers claiming the bag wasn't theirs, but stolen from a woman with red hair. It hit him all at once. He quickly shoved the notebook into his coat and drove straight home, his heart pounding. "I need to report this immediately." When he arrived, he rushed to the telephone, picked up the receiver, and started dialing Detective Mark's number with trembling hands. Sweat ran down his forehead as he muttered, "Come on, answer." Then he froze. He heard a sharp metallic clack behind him. Slowly, his hands stopped moving. He turned his eyes, fear creeping across his face. Standing behind him was Noah holding a gun. Her face was desperate. Her aim was steady. "Put the phone down," she said quietly. With Dr. Rooney's trembling hand, he slowly put down the phone. Noah instructed him to keep his hands up and step to his left. Dr. Rooney spoke, stammering. "Noah, snap out of it. You wouldn't do this. Your other personality is just..." Before he could finish, Noah interrupted. "No, I am pointing a gun at you of my own free will. There is no other personality, nor have I lost my mind, and the hallucinations aren't making me do this. I've decided this myself." The doctor swallowed hard. "Even so, why me? The person you believe to be the culprit isn't me, right?" Noah replied, still aiming the gun. "I'm going to prove to you that Linda's ghost is real right here, right now." The doctor's face turned pale. "You're not going to kill me just to prove that I can turn into a ghost, right, Noah? There's no such thing as ghosts. The voices you hear are from your illness, not from a ghost." He closed his eyes tightly, bracing himself. But instead of a gunshot, Noah spoke calmly. "Use your left hand to flip a card from that deck behind you. Turn over one card, but make sure I can't see it. Don't turn around." The doctor was confused, but followed her instructions, trembling. He reached for the deck and flipped one card. "I did it," he said nervously. Noah answered immediately. "It's the 7 of Hearts. Take a look." He hesitated, then turned the card around. His eyes widened. "You're right. It's the 7 of Hearts." Noah smiled finally. "Do another." He flipped another card. Again, Noah guessed it right. The doctor's voice shook. "How are you doing this?" "Linda told me," Noah said softly. "She's telling me what she sees. I guessed every card right, even though I can't see them. That's only possible because Linda really exists." The doctor was in disbelief. "No, that's impossible. You must have memorized the order of the cards. This has to be a trick." Noah raised her gun again. "Then shuffle them. Do it again." I'll prove it to you. The doctor obeyed, shuffling the deck. He thought to himself, Noah won't listen to reason. If I play along, maybe I'll get a chance to grab the gun. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Both of them flinched. Outside, Detective Mark was waiting. The doctor opened the door slightly. Detective. Rooney, I think I left my notebook in your office. The nurse couldn't find it, so I asked for your address to drop by and see it. Yes, the doctor said quickly. I have it with me. His eyes gave a silent plea. Mind if I take it back? The detective asked. One moment, I'll get it for you. The doctor closed the door. Noah still had the gun pointed at him. The doctor whispered, Please step aside. The notebook's in my bag. Noah stared at him, then made a small gesture toward his chest. It's inside your coat pocket. He froze. He reached into his pocket. She was right. The notebook was there. He handed it over when he reopened the door. Thanks, the detective said. I'll leave you my number in case you remember anything else. He scribbled something into his notebook and showed it to the doctor. But what was written wasn't a phone number. It was an instruction. If you're in danger, blink fast 3 times. The doctor's heart pounded. He prepared to blink, but suddenly he felt the cold press of a gun barrel against his back. Don't do that, Noah whispered. He froze. How did she know? She couldn't have seen what the detective wrote in his notebook. The detective looked at him, worried. Doctor, are you sure everything's all right? You're sweating a lot. It's nothing, detective. You misunderstood. I'm fine. Mark hesitated. All right, if you say so. He left, closing the door behind him. Inside, the doctor turned to Noah, trembling. How did you know what the detective wrote in his notebook? Noah replied calmly. You already know my answer. Linda told you the ghost saw it. What about the notebook being in my pocket? How did you know that? Can ghosts see through objects? Noah replied, I'm sorry for your loss. Your younger brother died recently, didn't he? And you were suspended from your job because of me, though I think that's mostly your fault. Then the detective came asking about my bag and you said nothing. But after reading that notebook in your car, you changed your mind. You realized the 2 men arrested were just pickpockets and the real killer was a red-haired woman. Me? The doctor's eyes widened. How does she know that? Everything she said happened exactly as it did. Was she following me? Noah spoke. Are you thinking I followed you? I've been waiting in this house the whole time, and even if I had followed you, I wouldn't have known what was written in that notebook unless I was sitting in the back seat of your car. A chill ran down his spine. Look to your left, Noah said. He slowly turned his eyes. Linda says, She's there. What are you talking about? I said I'm right here. Linda's voice echoed faintly, though only Noah could hear it. The doctor stared blankly at the wall where a picture frame hung. Then Noah suddenly extended her arm, handing him the gun. He hesitated but took it. Why are you giving me this? Sorry, but there are no bullets in it, Noah said quietly. The doctor checked the gun empty. You were threatening me with an unloaded pistol this whole time. In order to find the killer, you need to convince the police. They'll just think I'm insane. Since them of what? He asked. That I can speak to Linda and that I know who the real killer is. I need to catch him. The doctor thought to himself. To be fair, nothing she's saying makes sense. But if this ghost really exists, her behavior almost makes sense. He sighed. No, I can't tell them ghosts are real. I don't know how you found out everything, but this could be a trick. Ghosts? Really? Noah exhaled softly. I don't have time to persuade you. My family doesn't know I sneaked out. Would you like to go out for a bit? Do you have a map? Moments later, Noah stood at a distance from him outside the room. Put your finger down on the map, she instructed. He obeyed, placing his finger randomly. 20 centimeters to the left, Noah said. A little lower, a bit more left. Stop. He frowned. Can you see where I'm pointing? No, Noah said. I'm not the one watching. Linda is. Later, the doctor followed Noah's directions to the exact spot on the map. Her words echoed in his mind. Check the tree closest to the broken guardrail. There you'll find proof I've been communicating with Linda. He approached the tree and froze when he saw a wallet near the roots. Moments later, the police arrived. A detective lifted the ID. How did you find this all the way out here? The doctor stared blankly, sweating. Linda's wallet. Why is it here? Did Noah hide it ahead of time? But she wasn't even in the room. How could she have known where I pointed on the map? Mark asked again. Doctor, who told you where to find it? The doctor's voice shook. Linda, a ghost told me. At last, he believed Noah. Linda's voice was real. Meanwhile, Noah walked back to the manor. The air felt heavy. The house was silent. Too silent. She looked around. No one was home. Maybe they're out in the woods looking for Helen, she thought. She climbed the stairs, heart pounding. All she had to do now was wait. Wait for Dr. Rooney to realize she'd been telling the truth. But doubt crept in. Would he even believe me? He never does. Still, once he found the wallet Linda mentioned, he'd have to. Then Linda's whisper brushed her ear. She turned toward her room, pushed open another door, and stopped. Dennis was there, hiding, covering his mouth. "Dennis," she said softly. "Auntie, how did you know I was here?" Noah smiled gently. "Why are you hiding, Dennis?" "I wanted to apologize, but I was afraid. Everyone said the police might take you away because of what I said. I thought you'd be mad." "I'm not angry at you, Dennis." "Then why did you go outside that night? Was it because in your room there was that?" He stopped, eyes wide. "Never mind." Noah frowned. Something felt wrong. She remembered how strange Dennis had been that morning after he slept in her room. "Dennis," she asked quietly, "did something happen that night?" He hesitated, glancing around. "We can't talk here," he whispered. Noah followed him into the closet. Dennis looked side to side, then leaned close. "You saw it too, right? That's why you ran away that night." Noah's pulse spiked. "What did you see, Dennis?" That night, while Dennis was asleep in Noah's room, the sword she'd been holding slipped from her grasp and hit the floor with a sharp clank. It woke him. He rubbed his eyes and froze. In the dim light, a tall man stood beside Noah's bed, pressing a towel over her nose and mouth. The man turned eerily calm and raised his finger to his lips. He leaned closer. "If your parents find out you slept here again, you'll get in trouble." Dennis's hands shook. "Who are you?" he whispered. The man's voice was low and cold. "I'm the ghost that haunts this mansion. I know everything about your family. If you keep disobeying your parents, I'll start taking family members away one by one." Paralyzed by fear, Dennis nodded. "Go back to your room quietly," the man said. "You wouldn't want your auntie to disappear too." Dennis obeyed, stepping toward the door. But before he closed it, the man's voice came again. "You mustn't tell anyone about me or you'll be the one to disappear." Noah's blood ran cold. It wasn't a ghost. It was the killer. The man who broke into her room, spilled blood, stole her shoes, and killed Helen. But how did he know Dennis's name? Why call himself a ghost? "Dennis," she whispered, "what did he look like?" "It was too dark," Dennis said. "But he was tall. You can't tell anyone." "Okay, what if I disappeared, too?" Noah steadied her voice. "Do you remember his hair color?" Dennis thought, then looked at his teddy bear. "It was this color, the same color as my teddy bear. Brown. Light brown." Noah's eyes widened. "Dennis, you have to tell everyone what you saw." Dennis backed away. "No, I can't. It wasn't a ghost." Noah's voice rose. "It was a man. If you don't tell, he'll hurt our family." Dennis burst into tears. "No, the ghost didn't take you because I was a good boy. I can't tell. I shouldn't." Then Sarah entered. She froze, hearing whispers from the closet. The door burst open. Sarah gasped. Noah and Dennis stood there. Dennis crying. Noah's hands closed. "Noah," she shouted. "What were you doing to him?" "Sarah, listen. I found out who took Helen." Dennis saw him. "The culprit was in my room." Sarah's face went pale, then hardened. She pulled Dennis close. "Why were you hiding here? What were you trying to do to him?" "I wasn't hiding." Noah's voice shook. Dennis saw the man. He was tall with light brown hair. Sarah's eyes turned cold. "Are you trying to hide something, Noah? About my sister going missing?" "What?" Noah stammered. "What are you saying?" Sarah's tone flattened. "I wasn't expecting a straight answer anyway." She turned and left, dragging Dennis away. Outside, Sarah knelt. "Dennis, was Auntie telling the truth? Did you really see someone?" Dennis froze, or Sarah whispered, "Did Auntie tell you to say that?" Dennis remembered the warning. "You mustn't tell anyone about me or you will disappear." He lied and nodded. Sarah's face went white. Later, she called John. "John, I think Noah had something to do with my sister's disappearance. I washed her car yesterday, but this morning it was filthy again. She went out the night Helen disappeared. You said it yourself. She could hurt someone if her hallucinations came back. So, I protect her now because she's family and Helen isn't." Her voice cracked. "Let's get Noah treated right away. If she gets help, she'll tell us where she took my sister. Let's open the basement." John lunged forward and covered her mouth. "Don't say another word." Sarah froze. Sarah's blood turned to ice. Who would be listening? Meanwhile, Linda's voice echoed softly to Noah. "I heard everything Sarah said to John." Noah sighed. "So Sarah thinks I'm the culprit. I can't blame her. I did deceive her. But once Dr. Rooney speaks up, she'll understand. For now, I need to figure out how the killer got into my room. It's always locked. So, how did he open it without breaking anything? Did you see how he got in, Linda?" Linda's voice came faintly. "I'm not always with you. What's your treatment like, Noah?" Before Noah could answer, she heard it. A faint sound. She looked toward the window, opened it, closed it. There it was again. She stepped out onto the balcony, heart racing. The wind brushed her face. Then she saw it. A thin string hanging from the window frame. She reached for it and the lock snapped shut. Her heart pounded violently. The killer, he's been using this. This is how he got in and how he got out of my room. That night, Sarah went to Noah's father. She told him that Noah's hallucinations must have driven her to kidnap Helen, that nothing made sense anymore. The sudden uterine bleeding, the strange behavior, the way she'd seen Noah almost arguing with Helen the night she disappeared. But Noah's father said firmly, Noah doesn't have hallucinations anymore. The doctor confirmed it himself. Still, Sarah persisted, her voice trembling, but everything she's done lately. He cut her off gently. Sarah, you should eat something. You haven't eaten all day. The bodyguards and police are still searching for Helen. They'll find her soon enough. You should rest. Sarah didn't reply. She just stared at him. Meanwhile, Dr. Rooney called Noah. His voice was full of excitement, almost frantic. He asked if it was Linda who told him about the police wiretapping his office. Said it was an unprecedented discovery, proof of the afterlife no one knew about. His words tumbled over each other as he spoke faster and faster, saying maybe they could study the behavior and motivations of ghosts. Noah tried to calm him down. Dr. Rooney, please slow down. Oh, I'm sorry, he said quickly, catching his breath. I just got too excited. I'm glad you believe me, but right now we need to catch the killer first. Of course, the doctor replied, but it's been difficult to convince the detectives. They're not interested in another suspect. The police already believe the two in jail are behind the face stripper slayings. And once I mentioned a ghost, they stopped listening altogether. Detective Mark, the one who came to my house, I managed to convince him to hear me out tomorrow morning. With Linda's help, I'm sure he'll believe in ghosts too. Once that happens, we can catch the culprit tomorrow. Noah's voice cut through sharply. Tomorrow will be too late. The killer's been coming into my room every night. He'll be back tonight. We need to arrest him now. Before Dr. Rooney could respond, Linda's whisper brushed against Noah's ear. Someone's listening outside your room. Noah froze and immediately ended the call. She glanced toward the door. Outside, Sarah was leaning close, listening, checking if Noah was talking to herself again. She stayed still, waiting. Moments later, Sarah finally left. Noah exhaled in relief. Rain began to fall. Noah grabbed the gun in the alarm clock. She planned to reset the alarm every 3 minutes so she wouldn't fall asleep. There were bodyguards around the mansion, searching for traces of Helen. The killer wouldn't be able to come in another way. She had already removed the mechanism from the window outside. He wouldn't be able to sneak into her room again. You'll tell me if the killer comes here, right, Linda? Noah whispered. But Linda didn't answer. Instead, she asked softly, what's your treatment like, Noah? I want to know what to do while you're in treatment. Noah hesitated. Her father once told her never to talk about it, but no one could hear Linda's voice anyway, so she spoke quietly. They just lock me in the basement. I stay there until the hallucinations go away completely for a month. Then the memories rushed back. A little girl crying in the dark, calling for her father, saying sorry as the cabinet door shut. She was 5 years old. When they discovered her hallucinations, her father realized she must have been hearing voices long before that. When he found out, terror filled him. He saw his late wife's reflection in Noah's eyes, and feared her daughter would share the same fate. He called a doctor, but he never gave her medicine, never asked questions, just created his own remedy. Her father emptied the basement and locked her inside. She lived there for a month. No sounds, no voices, just silence. It was painfully lonely, but eventually she got used to it. When she was little, even the smallest noise, a cry, a whisper, meant punishment. Locked in a small wooden closet for hours until she was silent again. She tried to fool the doctors, but they always knew when she lied. Every time her hallucinations returned, she was sent back down. The older she got, the better she became at silence. She could spend an entire month without a word, as if she didn't exist at all. Sometimes even the faintest clot made her freeze in terror. She'd spend up to 6 months of the year in that basement. Her life felt trapped down there. The world outside began to feel like a dream, a place she could only visit for a while before waking up back in the dark. Then she looked out the window and said softly, "But then I met you. Once we catch the killer, once my family learns I wasn't just hallucinating, I won't have to go down there again. I won't have to live in fear anymore." Her eyes softened, voice breaking. "You rescued me from that basement, Linda." Meanwhile, while it was still raining, Dr. Rooney had fallen asleep when the telephone suddenly rang loudly. He immediately picked it up. Rooney said he thought something had happened to Noah since she hung up so suddenly. "I'm sorry," Noah said softly. "I should have called you back right away. I want to come to your house, doctor. The culprit knew my nephew's name and everything about my family. One of the workers here might be cooperating with the killer. I want to get out of this house before they come to work in the morning." The doctor agreed, saying they were going to meet in the morning anyway. Noah thanked him. "You're the first person who believed me." Dr. Rooney gave an awkward laugh. You just threatened me again with your gun if I didn't believe you anyway. I'll be waiting here. Noah blushed slightly in embarrassment. I'll arrive in 30 minutes. And Dr. Rooney said, whether it be the detectives, the media, or your family, Noah, I swear I'll convince them all. This time, I'll actually help you catch the culprit. Hearing that, Noah smiled in relief. Then Dr. Rooney hung up the phone, thinking that Detective Mark would surely believe Noah. The detective seemed sharp, quick on the uptake, and in just a few hours they could finally put an end to the face stripper slangs. But while the doctor was lost in those hopeful thoughts, he had no idea that someone was standing right behind him, watching with eyes full of malice. Meanwhile, Noah stood by the window, staring out at the rain. She asked Linda if she could check where all the bodyguards were patrolling from her room to the garage. But there was no reply, no whisper. Then Noah remembered Linda's words that she wasn't always with her. Realization struck. Linda wasn't there. Noah stepped out of her room, calling for her in a whisper, wandering through the hallway. Where are you, Linda? She thought. I can't prove ghosts are real without you. Even if I met the detective, he wouldn't believe me without Linda's help. She made her way toward the garage, thinking that maybe Linda had gone ahead to meet the detective, that she might have needed information about Detective Mark that no one else knew in order to prove her existence. Maybe that's why she left early. Or maybe she went to Roy's house first. But as Noah walked through the dim garage, Sarah was behind her, watching from the dark corner. Then Sarah spoke, her tone full of questions. Where are you going, Noah? Noah froze, sweat running down her temple. She'd been caught leaving the house. For a moment, she couldn't answer. Then Sarah spoke again, her voice softer. I'm not trying to interrogate you, Noah. I must have scared you. I didn't tell your father or John, so don't worry. You know I don't tell anyone about these things, right? She gave a faint, uneasy smile. By the way, is Linda the name of the voice in your head? You've been calling that name over and over. It's all right. I understand why you felt the need to lie about not hearing things anymore. I do. I've watched you get treated for years. I wouldn't even last an hour down in that basement. I would lie too. Her eyes softened. You don't need to tell me anything, Noah. Where you've been going at night when the voices came back, I won't ask you anything else. Just tell me this. With desperate eyes at a trembling voice, she asked, where did you hide my sister? Sarah's hands suddenly tightened around Noah's arm. This is all a misunderstanding, Noah stammered. Sarah's voice cracked. My sister. She's still alive, right? Noah froze. The image of Helen hanging from that tree flashed in her mind. Her heart pounded wildly, and she couldn't answer. Tears filled her eyes and rolled down her cheek as she whispered in despair. So, she's dead. Her knees gave out and she fell to the floor. You're behind the face stripper slangs, aren't you, Noah? Noah flinched in shock. Sarah's voice rose, shaking with grief. That big bag you took early that morning, you never brought it back, did you? Because you put someone's face in there and threw it away. No, that's not. It's all a misunderstanding, Noah explained. But Sarah only wept harder. What about Helen? Did you kill my sister that way too? Then she screamed, her voice breaking. Did you kill Helen that way too? Why? What did my sister ever do to you? She shouted again, louder this time. Noah, Noah, help, help. Noah is getting away. Noah, she killed my sister. Noah ran, driving desperately toward Dr. Rooney's house. Her mind raced. If I go back home, I'll either get locked in the basement or get arrested. She had to convince the detective by the end of the day. She would explain everything to Sarah to her family later while thinking that even if Linda didn't show up, Rooney would help her convince the detective. Her plan was simple. Meet Rooney and the detective and everything would be all right. Moments later, Noah arrived at Dr. Rooney's house. Rain poured heavily as she rushed to the door, calling his name and banging hard. But to her surprise, after a few knocks, the doors slowly creaked open. Inside, it was pitch black. No lights, no sound, only the faint dripping of water somewhere in the dark. Noah froze, a chill run down her spine. Cautiously, she stepped inside, calling Ron's name softly. She kept walking until her foot hit something. A faint clinking sound, startled. Then she slowly turned on the light. The bulb flickered and what she saw made her blood run cold. The table was splattered with blood. Documents scattered everywhere, stained red. On the floor lay Dr. Rooney's glasses, the thing she had stepped on. Her gaze followed a trail of blood smeared across the floor leading into the next room. And there, sitting against the wall, was Dr. Rooney's body. Noah's breath caught. She stepped closer, trembling. Doctor, she whispered. We were just on the phone an hour ago. Why? She knelt beside him, reaching out with shaking hands. As she grabbed his arm, his body tilted, about to fall. Noah tried to hold him, but the moment her hand brushed his face, she froze. Her fingers were wet, sticky. She pulled her hand back and saw it covered in blood. Dr. Rooney's face had been skinned. Noah staggered, trembling violently. Her breath turned ragged. her voice breaking as she let out a scream, a long guttural cry of horror that echoed throughout the house and out into the storm. Moments later, Noah went to her car, loading her gun with trembling hands. In her mind, she was planning to kill the killer herself. She didn't need proof or the police anymore. She was desperate to end it all and make the killer pay. Then, she started the car and drove away from Rooney's house. Hours passed. Morning slowly came and the rain finally stopped. Detective Mark arrived at Dr. Rooney's house just like they had agreed. He pressed the doorbell, but there was no response. Then a woman from the neighborhood passed by and said, "Dr. Rooney should be at work by now. Do you know him? Are you family?" Detective Mark replied, "I'm a detective. We agreed to meet this morning, but I can't reach him." The woman looked surprised. "A detective? But why?" "Oh, someone must have called the police because of that noise from last night." Detective Mark asked, "Noise? What noise?" The woman shrugged. "Someone was shouting around this area last night." "Well, sometimes there are silly kids who go around yelling when they're drunk." Detective Mark looked at the door. To his surprise, it wasn't locked. He slowly opened it. The woman gasped, "Goodness, detective, you can't just walk into someone's house. You might be a detective, but still, get out of there right now." She followed him, trying to stop him, but then froze in horror when she saw the floor. There was a trail of blood. Moments later, police filled the house to investigate. Detective Mark examined the scene carefully. The victim was attacked from behind while sitting at the table. The furniture is untouched, so he couldn't fight back much. The first stab must have been critical. Since no one heard gunshots, the weapon was likely a knife. He pointed to the ground. "Look at these handprints." The victim tried to crawl to the bedroom by himself. He must have struggled for several minutes while the culprit just stood there and watched. Once he reached the bedroom, the killer attacked again, and that's where he died. But the body was gone. Another detective said, "Judging by the glasses on the floor and Rooney's car still being here, Rooney was probably the victim." "But what about that woman's scream the neighbors heard?" Detective Mark replied, "That had to be Noah." The other detective frowned. "I thought you agreed to meet her this morning." Mark replied, "Neither Rooney nor Noah came to the place we agreed on. That means Noah was held back for whatever reason. Call in Noah Myers." A few hours passed. The sun was beginning to set. At a quiet parking lot inside a car sat the suspect killer. As he tried to start the engine, he saw through the rearview mirror Noah walking towards him. The man stepped out of his car. Suddenly, Noah pressed her gun against the back of his head. Her voice was cold. "Why did you kill him?" "Because Rooney said he would help me." "Is that your only reason?" The man didn't answer. Noah's hands trembled as she continued, "Say something. Tell me why you kept me alive. Why you killed all those people." Still, the man said nothing. "You're not going to explain yourself? Not even an excuse?" He turned his head slightly and looked at her with cold, empty eyes. Noah stared back at him, desperate, and pulled the trigger. "Then die, you murderer." The gunshot echoed, but the bullet struck the wall. The man had moved fast, catching Noah's hand before she could shoot again. He kicked her legs out from under her, sending her crashing to the ground. He wrestled the gun from her trembling grip and pointed it at her. Noah stared up at him, eyes wide, then slowly closed them. She accepted her fate. But then, click, she heard something. The sound of bullets dropping one by one onto the ground. Her eyes opened in confusion. The man looked panicked, shocked. He shouted, "Are you out of your mind? I mean, I knew you were crazy, but you actually almost killed me. This city is full of people. Why are you doing this to me?" Noah looked at him confused. "You're asking why? Did you think I wouldn't know that you killed Rooney? Did you really think you could kill someone and get away with it?" The man's face twisted into a confused smile. "Why would Rooney be dead? You killed him," Noah shouted. "And those people who were found faceless, Helen and Linda, too. You're the culprit behind the face tripper slayings." The man grabbed her arms roughly and tied her hands behind her back. "How is no one showing up after that gunshot?" he muttered. But Noah glared at him, voice shaking but determined. "Say it. Admit that you're the murderer." The man replied, "Why do you keep saying that? I never killed anyone." "My nephew saw you in my room," Noah said. "And I saw you at that factory too." The man's voice rose in disbelief. "How could I go into your room? I don't even know where you live. You're the one acting like a killer. You just tried to shoot me. And that bag you were carrying when I found you by my car, that was the same bag they showed on the news, wasn't it? The one with someone's face in it. You even said you lost your bag that day. And the fact that you didn't call the police after finding a body." Noah's eyes widened. "How did you know I found a body? You've been following me. You're the culprit." The man shook his head, dragging her back. Sure. Let's save the rest for the police." But then a voice echoed. "Wait, that woman isn't the culprit." Noah froze. That voice, it was the same one from that night. The voice of the person who saw the killer, the witness to Helen's murder. "Help!" she shouted. But when Noah looked towards the direction where the sound was coming from, she found nothing. The voice called again, louder this time. "Noah isn't the culprit." Noah flinched, her heart pounding. How did that voice know my name? Then it shouted with urgency. "Noah, tell him 6. Please tell him 6. No, that 6 is here. Say it." Noah's lips trembled as she whispered, "6 is here." The moment she said it, the man froze, then suddenly let go of her, stumbling backward in shock. She glared at him, confused and furious, but his face had turned pale. His eyes were wide with disbelief, trembling. He stammered, How did you know that?" If you enjoyed the video and want to see the next part soon, make sure to like and subscribe. It supports the channel a lot and motivates me to make more. Thank you all.